Africa Radio with your host, Rasta B. It is February 28th, 2020, the last Friday of February. Today's title called Coronavirus. Hold on. I don't know why that noise popped up. Coronavirus, DNC, South Carolina debate, and the stock market drop. So we're going to be talking about those events. And the guest call-in number is 516-531-9992. So that's how that goes. Now, the first thing I want to speak really on is this. I want to mention something about the coronavirus. I just read this. So this is coming from Yahoo World News. Title is called Virus Enigma. Experts ask why Africa seems to have few cases. Johannesburg. The coronavirus is spreading fast beyond its China birthplace, but sub-Saharan Africa, which is what they call Africa now, because they're saying that the black part of Africa is below the Sahara. One of the world's most vulnerable regions had so far been also spared, and experts want to know why. More than 2,760 people worldwide have died of COVID-19, and almost 81,000 infected in over 45 countries. Most of these have been in China, but cases are now rising fast in part of Europe and the Middle East. All right, hold on for a minute. All right. And the Middle East. While the first infection in Latin America was recorded on Wednesday in Brazil. But across all of Africa, just 2 cases have surfaced, a tally that has health specialists scratching their heads, given the continent's close economic ties with China. This is the question that everyone is asking, especially as other regions such as South America and Eastern Europe now have cases, said Amadou Alpha-Sall, head of the Pasteur Institute of Dakar, the Senegalese capital. The current figures could be the reality. It's hard to know. Maybe it's because Africa is not that connected. This person, Tumbi Ndungu, director of a Durban-based infectious disease research center, said, "I don't think anybody knows why Africa so far appears to be unscathed." He also speculated that it could be there isn't much travel to that particular part of China from Africa back and forth. Or it could just be a coincidence, said in Dungu. Cover-up unlikely. Could it be a cover-up or cases that have gone undetected? Yeah. Could it be a cover-up? A case that cases haven't been undetected? Michael Yao, an emergency response expert at the World Health Organization Africa, based in the Congolese capital, Brazzaville, said these scenarios were most unlikely. To detect and hide cases would require an exceptionally managed response, he said, and undetected cases would result in an outbreak that would be surely detected because it spreads faster, Yao said. Could Africa predominantly hot climate ward off or even kill the virus? There is no current evidence to indicate that climate affects transmission, said Rodney Adams, who head the Infection Control Task Force at the Aga Khan University Hospital in Nairobi. While it is true that in certain infections there may be genetic differences in who could be sustained to it, there is no current evidence to that effect of COVID-19. If the continent can count itself lucky so far, experts say it is just a question of time. We think Africa is going to be affected. It's like they're pissed off, said Yazdan Pana, head of the Infectious Disease Department of Paris Bichat Hospital. On the plus side, the apparent delay has given African countries precious weeks in which to prepare. Yao said more than half of sub-Saharan Africa are now equipped with laboratories that can test for the virus, up from just 2 a few weeks ago. In the beginning, we had 2, South Africa and Senegal. Now we have 29 out of 47 countries and have laboratories that can perform the test. So this is progress, he said. We were lucky to have a big window of opportunity. Another positive is that Ebola outbreaks that have struck parts of West Africa and the Democratic Republic of Congo have generated valuable skills for handling coronavirus. There is currently no vaccine or cure for the novel virus. The response is to contain it by identifying and isolating patients and carrying out grassroots awareness campaigns. This experience may add value on ground, said Yao. Question of time. Despite this, Africa's vulnerabilities are well known. In 2016, now they want to talk about all these different outbreaks and things that happen in Africa. All right, so that's that. So, yeah, it sounds like they're pissed off. But I see my co-host just popped up. Smoke, is that you?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, what's good?
Shit, big Friday, yo. Shit, I was in there damn painting. Feel like a carpenter and shit. Fixing shit. But yeah, you know, I feel good.
The house,
you know what I'm saying? Happy to be in the building. Yeah, tell me about it.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, man,
I
hear you in there
going
on the coronavirus.
Yeah, I was just reading a story on the corona joint where they were saying how Africa, and I noticed that every time they showed the map, Africa was not affected. You know what I'm saying, by it. So
yeah, they got the memes going around saying black people are immune to that shit.
You know, yeah, that's what I started to notice, you know what I'm saying? Well, now I just read one right here where they say Nigeria confirmed its first case of coronavirus, you know. Okay. Yeah, they sound like they were pissed off, you know what I'm saying? I'm reading it and shit, crackers like, why hasn't it? Maybe because. I'm like, damn,
yeah.
I should be happy, you know what I'm saying? So yeah,
it's fucking up their industry. It's fucking up their industries though. Fucking stock market's fucking down.
That stock market looking ugly. Ugly for the ones invested, but the funny thing about it is this is a good time to stock up on some of them stocks.
Hell yeah. Keep an eye on them damn prices because they've been dropping. Every day the Dow and all that shit been going down.
No.
So,
and that's what I'm waiting for, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's what I'm waiting for. I saw Disney and shit. That shit like 117. Last week that shit was like $135 a share. So because everybody know they're gonna take that hit on this quarter. That's what's going on with that shit. Because they're gonna lose a lot of money, so that's why everybody pulled their bread out.
Yeah,
but
because it's fucking with the shipping. All of the shipping.
Hell yeah.
You know, that's basically what it is. You know what I'm saying? It's like I work in that industry, so it's like I see that shit. Motherfuckers trying to reroute trade routes and shit, like shit coming out of China. But the shit that's there already is like, you know what I mean? It's the workers is being affected over there, so it's like, you know, where they got clear ports and shit, it's like backlogs and shit there, or shit coming out of there, or it's not coming out at all. I thought I saw something where they said it's like, I forget the two ports, but they like trying to like basically send stuff through those two ports. But like, must be like the other ports is like, you know, the workers is like in those areas is sick. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, it's the time to catch shit from the rebound.
Exactly, and that's why I always say at the end of the day, I'll be like, again, if we as black people look at this game called life and living in a capitalistic society, and we did it properly, and we're sitting over here creating shit to sell and shit like that, you know what I'm saying? Not being scared out of doing that because in the past, you know what I'm saying, the government did this, that, and the third to the black economy. Okay, you know what I'm saying? We're talking about rebuilding. Right now, this would be the perfect opportunity because everybody would be scared to fuck with China and Chinese shit. So then if you have black people out here making simple shit, spoons, cups, bowls, plates, you know what I'm saying, napkins and shit like that, fucking dolls,
definitely
and, you know, whatever.
Taking a
you know
risk on shit like that. Coming from China. So you got to drink out of you putting it to your mouth. You're like, nah.
Exactly.
So yeah, you're right. It would be crazy right now because,
you know what I'm saying?
You'll be having
all that shit.
Fulfill all these orders that's coming from there because you see now, like, even though it's been said, and you should know it if you follow, like, any type of economics or whatever, but, like, you see the effect now, how much the U.S. economy depends on you know, China goods. So, you know,
the world.
The world. You're right.
Sure. Because I told you, my girl was telling me a story. She went to Brewster's Ice Cream, and the Indian dude who owned, you know, that he had like 2 shops or some shit, or 3 shops. But he was saying how the people out here where we live at, you know, we live amongst black people, how they wasn't paying, you know what I'm saying, and how the money, how nobody was spending no money, you know what I'm saying? But I'm like, at the same time, it's cold outside, you know? So the shit, he was like, then we gotta find out, you know, where to get these spoons and napkins and shit because everything's made in China. So he was like how they had went to damn Australia trying to look for new suppliers and shit, but even Australia, all their suppliers coming out of China too. You know what I'm saying? So now you got one fucking country quartering the market on the whole fucking world, and all black people doing is crying about how we're being treated or not liked and shit by white people. And it's like, if we look at the bigger picture, we're supposed to be the other option to China. We're supposed to be the other option to white people. We're supposed to be the other option to everything. Music, movies, anything anybody else have, there's supposed to be a black alternative for it. But we don't get that. We don't understand that logic. So when these things happen, when Ivory Soap turn around and have commercials talking about, do you want to wash the black off your skin? We'll complain about it, but we don't have the soap to
back it up.
draw. You know, to replace them. You know what I'm saying? We don't have the that to replace them. We just have the complaint. You see what I'm saying? And we have to have that other side, like everything. That's what I'm saying. Anything and everything. It's supposed to be a black alternative. That's how
we're supposed to be in every market, basically. You know what I mean?
Yep.
We're supposed to have a presence in every market. You know what I mean? You named the market, so, and we don't. We have zero presence in all of the markets. Is like we have zero presence, and so it's like that's really the sad part, because when you sit back and look at it, it's really an opportunity to get rich right now. You had a factory producing T-shirts or any Chinese good. You killing right now, because you make the example of a company where you said it was Brewster's. They call in Australia to get goods. They call in wherever. They're gonna call wherever to try to get this information, get this stuff. You know, get these goods, and it's like if it was right here being produced, or even just in a black country, Trinidad, Africa somewhere. No cases in Africa. So if you coming from right there, it's like right now you killing. And so these are like these are the opportunities that we have to really try to put ourselves in place to really rebuild the economy. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, that's part of the process is cornering those markets. Right?
And that's why we think and are so afraid of capitalism, because we want to follow how white people practice capitalism, and white people's model, and white people's game plan and strategy. And when that strategy doesn't work for us, then we say the system is wicked. No, you're supposed to follow it your own goddamn way to make it work for you. You can't take this person's method of how they play this game and apply it to your people when that method is designed to destroy your people. No, now you become the enemy of your own people. That's what we don't get. That's why we always be like, oh, get away from capitalism. The money is the root of all evil. This wicked man, the businessman is wicked and all that. You know what I'm saying? We say all of that stuff because we're following somebody else's template and game plan, and when it don't work for us, now we do what we does best, bitch and complain. But hold on, we got a caller. Calling in 314-381. What's your name? Where you calling?
You know, it's Bianca. You know,
what's going on, brother?
You go on Alibaba and buy you some specification 10 mass making equipment. Go over to Ghana, build you a little building where you can start making mass, because Africa is going to need mass. The equipment is sold at Alibaba all day long. And you could be in the game. Although, and you can sell it to the United States too. You can use your affirmative action to do that. And I'm saying to people that's listening here, I ain't just talking about no overgenerous we, because when them conversations is gone, everybody going home. Ain't nobody else left in the room.
Right.
But those are your plans. Go. The need is there. China ain't gonna sell you their mask. They already hip to the game, so you got to make masks. And I tell you something else. Things that's bought from China, and that's why Donald Trump is so cool. Things that American businesses are buying from China, all you got to do is look. Customs, U.S. Customs can tell you that. They can tell you what's coming in and who it's going to. And you can find out. And duplicate that yourself over in Africa, in one of those countries. Either Nigeria or Ghana. I stay away from the French countries like Cote d'Ivoire and Togo. That's trouble. Zimbabwe would be a good one, but they too far inland. They're not on the port. But hell, if the virus strike there, those masks is going to be needed. Now, you know, those type of viruses and stuff don't affect Africans like they do other people around the world, especially Black Americans, because their immune system is very strong. They never have seen it before. And, here in the United States, our immune system is just chilling because everything is sanitized. You don't have to worry about some of the sanitary conditions and habits that other countries, especially developing countries, have to experience, even down in Mexico even. In America, you got the best sanitation that you can possibly have, so your immune system is never taxed. That's why I ain't going to say that's why when blacks went back to Africa in the 1700s, 1789, to Liberia, after about 45 days, that whole group was dead because their immune system, they weren't Africans no more, they was Americans. So, no, that's where you get rich, man. You look at what's going on and duplicate it over there where the labor is cheap, and you have trade agreements and things to your advantage. And if you don't have them, and if you do, if you're going to duplicate what China is selling, sit down and talk with. Don't go to them Negro politicians. You're going to have to go to somebody else to have a meeting with Donald Trump. They say, Trump, China is producing whatchamacallits. We can produce whatchamacallits, but by the time we pay American workers, what they need to have to what they call for, it's hard to beat China's prices. Can you put a tariff on those things coming from China? He says, sure I can. We were trying to make America first again. That's what it's all about.
Yep. That's what they doing now.
And what else you got going for you? You black. Republicans are trying to get black support, not just because of the politics, but to show that them damn Democrats ain't done anything. Look at that Clyburn in South Carolina. Diss Trump by saying, less black unemployment during slavery.
Wow.
That man is crazy as hell. Them old dinosaurs was good way back when. Now they ain't worth a damn. Look at their positions. Their positions is death, abortions, open borders, not chasing the damn illegals out. Keeping with the same school system. That's nothing but death.
Because they pimping that same narrative. They get to pimp the same narrative and tote the past achievements over and over again. And just say, I marched and I did this. And like I told this woman at my job, she's like 60 years old. So I told her, I said, damn, everybody want to talk about how racist Trump is, but everybody on the Democratic side that's talking disrespected black people, had laws passed that affected black people on the Democratic side, and they're being told to ignore that, to pick a candidate to beat Trump. I said, so basically, y'all picking for covert or overt racism. That's it. Y'all not picking nothing real. Y'all just picking that. So then she was like, well, what do you think we should do? So I told her,
what'd she say?
What happened? Oh, yeah, I told her, I said, I think we shouldn't vote. I think we should worry about getting our shit together and strengthening ourselves up economically before we worry about voting and shit, like on a presidential level, not locally. So then she was like, oh, no. Don't you know the civil rights? You may not be familiar, but we died for the right to vote. And I was just like, but what are we
People
voting
didn't die for the right to vote. Folks were dying before voting up south, and they was having those problems down south. They was voting up north. They was having those problems down south. Nobody died up north to vote. But I'm going to tell you something, though. No, you have to, you got to do this stuff yourself. You can't depend on them old dinosaurs. And I'm telling you, you just look at what's going on and just say time. And, racism has nothing to do with skin color. Racism is the action that one person do to another. I mean, if I'm white, man, and I come throw a bucket of cold water on you, you're going to call me a racist. But what if you throw a bucket of cold water on another black man? Is that not the same action?
Exactly.
So it's racist.
Exactly.
Racist is the action. It ain't got nothing to do with color of skin. That's the stuff that people have said and kept pounding out there to get folks all thinking one way and marching in one direction.
Yeah.
Like Farrakhan said Farrakhan said billionaires are paying for the move to get these Democrats elected. Well, hell, didn't he try to get $1 billion from Omar Gaddafi from Libya? What was that going to be for? Yeah, somebody's getting ready to say.
Yeah, the funny thing about it with the emotions and shit like that that's going on with the election, there's no real agenda or policy. Now you see everybody want to patronize black people and talk about their plan for black people and things of this nature. But the whole purpose is that they want Trump out. And that's it.
Yeah, they hate Trump.
So they despise him.
Let me ask you a question.
They despise him.
What did LeBron James know for doing here most recently? What did he do just most recently? With the school, right? What did he do? He started that school. He supported that school, right?
All right.
All right. Yeah, he supported that academy. And you got another athlete that bought some homes for, some mothers. Now listen at this. Joe Biden, Sanders, and Warren said that they're going to do away with Trump's tax reform. And they're going to raise taxes on the rich. All right. Well, goddamn, what is LeBron James? Ain't he rich?
Yep.
So you raise taxes on him, you're going to cut into the money that he's probably helping to build some of these schools and do other things. The other athlete that's buying homes for single mothers, well, he may be buying 20 in 1 year. Now you raise taxes, he may only be able to buy 5.
Right.
See, think about this stuff. They talk to black folks as if all black people are poor. But who do we say? Think about this. Who do we always hear blacks say has got to come back and pull blacks out of the mess they in? It's black folks. And it ain't no poor ones. It's got to be the ones who have worked the system.
Yeah,
but if you continue to tax them, they ain't gonna do that. Because you're taking their money that they will be using to come back to help these young people. Then what good is it going to be? The best place for your tax dollars to be is in your own damn pocket. Believe me.
No, you're right about that.
Look at your cities. Hell, they tax to death. St. Louis, 50% of the public safety, the budget goes toward public safety. 50% of the budget goes toward public safety, which includes policing to be chasing these hoodies around.
Wow.
Them Democratic cities. So, no, you want to keep your tax dollars in your pocket. Trump cut Obama's 39.6% down to 21%. He wanted to go 15% for businesses. If businesses pay less taxes, if people pay less taxes, it's going to be more economic activity going on. Businesses paying less taxes will be able to keep more of their money to buy equipment, to expand into other areas. These folks crazy as hell.
So that's because we don't up in business. That's because we don't deal with business, and we don't deal with business, and we don't deal with economy. So we're not even thinking. We think like a worker.
Well,
you see what I'm saying? So
that
what
person,
the Democrats do, the
you know,
Democrats,
think
they
about
turn
this.
the black people against the business class and teaches them that money is wicked. And
They
you know
do.
what I'm saying? And that, yeah, that's what they do.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. They do. They want you to stay in one position so that you can keep voting for them because you're gonna need what they gave you last week in order to survive next week. I'm saying this from experience, from what I've seen. But the thing is, your we is like I say, y'all are the we. And you know, you talk about the cortan. Cortan is a material that's used in cell phones and computers, right? They got kids over there in Sierra Leone going into these mud mines and extracting that stuff. Well, you can go to Alabama again, or you can go to your excavating company there in your town, buy some excavators, ship them over there, start excavating, go to Alabama, and get the equipment that's needed to process that resource that you're going to dig out of the ground and turn it into its most valuable position. You know, when you pull it out the ground raw, it's shipped someplace else, then processed. No, process is right there. Put the people to work. Exactly. And sell it to whoever wants it at that point in time. Man, it's a lot of ways out there to make money. And you know, here's the thing. When you're dealing with natural resources, hell, the earth already don't make it. You ain't got to make it like you do tires. You ain't got to make it like you do a car. Earth has already made it. You just take it out of the ground and process it. Copper.
Sure.
Uranium. Trump just reopened uranium mining here in the United States. Done away with those regulations that kept companies from being able to do it profitably. I'll never see no black people doing that stuff. And these white businesses would rather do business with black folks than they would the Muslims coming over here. They scared of them. They don't got used to you.
And that's what Booker T. Washington was saying, and up from slavery.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he was saying, the same shit. He was like, yo, we need a damn, put away your issues with white people and just work and be a part of the economy and stuff like that. You don't want to be replaced by these foreigners. And at the time, because of the timeline, I'm guessing he's talking about the Italians and the Irish and shit like that. And he's telling the whites, he like, yo, you don't know their customs. You know us. We went through the other
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, shit, work with us.
You're absolutely right.
So, yeah.
Whites would rather see y'all do better. Look, whites would rather see black folks get out of the predicament they in, but they ain't going to do it for you. Because you got some idiots out there that will get to hollering and say, look, we ain't going to let you do this. Leave our kids. So they're not going to do that. They would want you to do it.
Yep.
When I started erecting structural steel, listen, when I started erecting structural steel, I had to have supplies. I had to have welding rods, oxygen and acetylene, cutting gases, torches, other equipment. I used to go to those supply places like CK Supply and welding. They didn't have no black workers in there. But when I used to start going to them places and buying thousands and thousands of dollars worth of supplies a week, guess what I started seeing behind the counter? Black folks.
Right. Oh, really?
Yeah. I started seeing black workers in there. Because blacks started to come in there buying stuff, thousands of dollars a week. Then if they back there working, guess what they're doing? They learning.
Right.
They learning the business. Lincoln Welder or Miller Welder would give you a dealership. They want to sell welding machines. They want to sell welding rods. They want to sell welding supplies. Now you can go in your own business someplace in some corner and become a dealer, a retailer, competing. That's the way you do that stuff. You have to work for somebody in particular ventures in order to learn it. You can't come straight out of college and go into doing that. You don't know shit about it. College is not going to teach you that. Now, college does teach you some things, like mechanical engineering and up at the higher profession. But I hear people saying that you need to go to college and come out and start your own business. Start your own business doing what? You ain't worked for nobody to know the ins and outs of the business. If you're working for them, you are doing a minor business for them. You're generating sales. You're getting customers. You're making deliveries on time, making people happy. That's a minute business under the big business. And you learn that, now you can go in and do your own. Anyway, I'm going to let y'all get back to y'all show. I'm sorry.
Nah, it was good.
It's always all
right.
Because, you know, sometimes the whole thing is to have the information out there, because I always say you never know who is listening, who don't know, who will hear that, and then it triggers into their mind, you know, and be like, wow, I never thought about it like that, or I never thought about that, period. You know what I'm saying? So it's always good information at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So that's all. That's Brother Tianke. Where's my other where's my sound effects for the brother? There we go. So we always get good information from Tianke, and he always show you the different. I don't want to say outside the box, but you understand with that concept outside the box. Like, you're hearing stuff, information, you're hearing ideas, you're hearing the game plan and the blueprint of what it is that we need and where we can go to get that. Instead of looking, because I even heard Beyonce and Jay-Z them say this. I got my clothes and stuff done and it's shipped in China. Or even the red pills and the blue pills, and when they was doing their clothing and stuff like that, it's like shipped in some type of Chinese type shit. And it's like, why everybody going to the Chinese? Why are you following somebody else's game plan? Yeah, do your own game plan. If you get an Izod shirt, Izod is made in Kenya. You see what I'm saying? Izod is made in Kenya. So you don't have, so you know what I'm saying, like every single shirt, like, so you have to make these marks and these moves into looking into a bigger situation. You know what I'm saying? It cannot be we following the same old game plans and scenarios and narratives where we're either working for somebody thinking that the more money that we'll get, the better off we will become, or a situation where it's like, I'm in business, but I want to emulate what everybody else is doing. No, if we follow a black blueprint, then you'll understand that when you look at the map, you're looking at whole regions of Africa. That's an untapped market line of American economics and the African economics. A pipeline there, dealing with trade and things of this nature. Looking at the Black American pipeline from Black America to the West Indies and back and forth. The Black American pipeline from America to Latin America. That way, these people in these nations, we could be doing business with. That opens up. See, this is how you lower your unemployment. This is how you obtain wealth. This is how you elevate your people out of poverty. If you check the economic powers when it comes to like currency, who have access to currency and who have access to certain shit that goes on in the world, you would always notice that it's pretty much like America, Europe, Africa, certain parts of Latin America, things of that nature. They're blacked out. They're not even participating. So the reason why they're not participating is because the people that's in charge is powerful enough to say we're going to block them out. We don't want them to play. No, excuse me. Not that we don't want them to play. We don't want to compete with them, and we don't want them to come up off of this game. We're going to starve them out. Is using this opportunity to see this untapped market and take advantage of it and have control over it. We would rather play the game with the whites. So now when the whites can't trade with China because of this coronavirus, the blacks got to suffer too. Because I get my stuff from China also. And when the
any economic pullback, we suffer because we intertwine with them. So so any time it's a housing crash, then guess what? We losing.
Yeah, because we want to do
we
it like
intertwine with them.
Yeah,
but,
instead of trying to be our own,
affects us times 5.
Instead of us trying to be ourselves and do things. There's supposed to be articles that say things like, just like the article I read about Africa not being affected by the coronavirus. You're supposed to read articles and shit saying, why do black Americans seem to hold on to their homes at a larger rate than white Americans during a recession? You're supposed to hear shit like that. Why does it seem like black Americans are, birth rates are increasing and they're spreading out and, taking over more communities or whatever? The increase of the black American population, you're supposed to hear shit like that. The reason why we don't hear shit like that is because we're following somebody else's narrative and game plan.
Right.
That's all that shit is. Because it makes no sense. I done read a story, Smoke, about how black farmers is upset with Trump, right? In the trade war. Now watch this. This is from Yahoo Finance. Despite trade, this is the title. Despite trade war, most American farmers still support Trump 2020. As President Trump gears up for re-election after an impeachment trial and amid a trade war, there's one group he probably won't have to worry about getting support from. Won't have to worry about getting support from U.S. farmers. American farmers have faced uncertainty over the last 2 years, with agriculture being caught in the crosshairs for tit-for-tat tariffs between the U.S. and China amid trade negotiations.
That's what Pianki was talking about.
You see what I'm saying? To help farmers offset the effects of tariffs, the Trump administration approved $28 billion in farmer aid. U.S. Department of Agriculture has distributed about $19 billion in bailout payments so far, and Trump recently stated that the support would continue until a comprehensive deal is reached. And although the relief been lopsided, an NPR analyst found that about 100,000 individuals collect roughly 70% of the aid payments through July 2019. Most American farmers are still highly supportive of the president. According to the latest Farm Journal Post poll, 83% of farmers approve Trump, with 64% strongly approving. It is his highest approval rating so far in this poll. Glenn Brunkov, a Kansas-based farmer who grows soybeans and corn and raised sheep and cattle, voted for Trump in 2016 and still plans on voting for him in the 2020 cycle. At this point, I would say it looks like it, he told Yahoo Finance. It depends on the candidate and it depends on their stance on issues as they relate to agriculture and any of the other topics that are hot button issues for me. As I look at the field now, he probably aligns the best. Yeah, then it goes on and on and on. Yeah. Then it goes on and on and on. But yeah, so the farmers is they rocking with Trump. But the news will have you believe that the farmers is against Trump and they pissed with Trump. You see? But then I'm reading the stories about the black farmers who's sitting around and they like, you know what I'm saying? They tight. You know what I'm saying? They mad about it. So I'm looking at it like this. Would you still be tight if you wasn't competing against these white farmers, growing soybeans? I even read one that said maybe what we need to do is, it was on Roland Martin actually. I'm just saying this off the top of my head, so I can't really remember the brother's name and stuff. But they was asking like what solutions and things that he could do. One of the things he said was he could that black farmers need to learn how to diversify what they grow. So when I heard that, I'm like, well, who the fuck are y'all growing for? You understand what I'm saying? When you don't have, when you're black minded, you're a real black farmer, then you have to say to yourself, what are you growing and who you growing it for? If you're just a farmer who happens to be black, then what happened is you're growing your crops just like the white boys. So if they're growing soybean, you want to grow soybean. And if they're growing tobacco, you want to grow tobacco. And if they're shipping this shit to damn China, you want to ship your shit to China. And if they're doing, you see what I'm saying? Where you can sit over here now, you can ship your shit to the other countries that's being neglected and gather all them bucks.
It's just like if you think about the examples Bianchi made, he was talking about coltan and uranium. You know, that's not something that's, your everyday thing that you would even think about when you're thinking about mining. Thinking about mining, like diamonds, shit like that. You hear people talk about coal. You're not thinking about uranium. Yeah. So it's like basically, you got to be smart in the business moves. It's like if you have a store and there's 800 sneaker stores, you don't want to open a sneaker store. You might want to open socks, a store that sells socks or sells shorts, or, whatever, something that nobody, that's going to complement, what other farmers might be doing, but you have opportunities outside of it. So, like, basically with the tariffs and stuff like that you was mentioning, that's Trump separating the American economy from the, they trying to weed out the Chinese economy from the American economy, which is what we should be doing. You know what I'm saying? But we got to build the economy first. You know what I'm saying? We can't be dependent. And so that's what the tariffs is doing, and that's what we need to be doing. We need not to be dependent on these the success of somebody else's economy, basically. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And so
because
that's
what do we know about
right
the white
now.
economy? What do we know about the white economy? They always gonna have ups and they always gonna have downs. And really, that's the whole shit of any economy, right?
Yeah,
so what do we know about the white economy? They always gonna have recession. They always gonna have bubbles. They always gonna have little cheating shit going on in the economy. That when that shit hit the fan, the whole shit rocks.
Right.
So it's like, why would you want to be a part of that economy? Why wouldn't you create your own safety net? Like every other group has.
Yeah, that's basically what it is.
It's just a safety net. So if the shit crash, And guess what? You don't got to work, smoke for a black financial company. Go work for a white financial company as a black person. Get that money, learn, get those connects and all that shit. But guess what? If a recession hit and now they laying everybody off, now you could bring your talents down here. You see what I'm saying? So that's your safety net. You don't have to go from, I was, working for Goldman Sachs, Lehman Brothers and shit like that, but now I open up my own bakery. Some stupid shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could sit over there now and it's like, just bring your talents and shit there, and what's going to happen, like Tianki said, and I've seen that with my own eyes too, you're going to start to see white business people start saying, no, I'm fucking with this black firm. You know why? Because they don't be cheating. Because they're not creating Ponzi schemes. They're not running game. You'll be amazed. Let me tell you. I remember I saw a Italian documentary, right, where they had one of the Italian dudes, right, or the Italian families and shit like that. And he in court in the 70s, right? And when he in court and he getting out and shit, out on bail and beating cases and shit, you know who his lawyer was? A black man. A black man. 70s, Afro. Black man. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, at the end of the day, and that's what Booker T. Washington said, you don't fight to get rid of discrimination and segregation and shit like that. Build your economic security. Build your economy. When we together, guess what? We have to form and strengthen ourselves as a race and form our culture. Our culture will make us stronger. And what will happen is we would be such a strong race of people with economic security and power that them crackers would be coming to where we live at. So the segregation is over. If they're going to be coming over here because our area is popping, the discrimination is going to stop. You know why? Because they're going to be on our dicks. Because we're going to be popping. You see what I'm saying? So them little rules that you having don't mean nothing. It don't mean nothing. If you got a restaurant as a white person and you like, yo, I don't want to hire you because I don't want to serve you because you're a nigger and you a multi-billionaire, it's like, fuck you, bitch. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not even, and then you leave. And then that business go out of you know what I'm saying? Go, it runs, you know what I'm saying? The business collapse. So you buy the business and, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's, you got power, you know what I'm saying? But you don't let the words and them antics and these, and you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't let them affect you. You strengthen yourself up. Those are distractions. And that's what we're not getting as black people. You know what I'm saying? We're getting caught up in the distraction. We're not getting caught up in the real system, like the real, playing the real strategy, the strategic part of the game, basically. You know what I'm saying? Like, here's another story right here, Smoke, to really drive into my point. So this is another Yahoo. This is a New York Times story. Title is, Why a Top Trump Aide Said We Are Desperate for More Immigrants. So they say, at a private event last week, Mick Mulvaney, the acting White House Chief of Staff, stated a reality that economists treat as conventional wisdom, but that the Trump administration routinely ignores. The United States needs immigrants to fuel future economic growth. We are desperate for more people, Mulvaney told the crowd in England. according to an audio recording provided to the New York Times. We are running out of people to fuel the economic growth. He said the country needed more immigrants, but wanted them in legal fashion. Maloney's sentiments are at odds with the approach and language embraced by the president and the White House. Officials, including Steve Miller, a senior aide who is driving force behind the administration's immigration policy. The White House has been trying to crack down on undocumented entries and family-based immigration into the United States, and its measures are slowing the flow of refugees. While the administration has said that it wants to foster high-skilled immigrants, Trump had described the country as full. But growth in the native-born workforce is rapidly slowing as the population ages and people have fewer children. So immigrants will probably be needed to drive the economy. They have already been a crucial source of new workers, accounting for about half of the labor force expansion over the past 2 decades. The foreign-born population has been expanding only tepidly during Trump's tenure. That slowdown could have long-lasting and profound repercussions, economics warned. Immigration, while a sensitive topic, has been a key part of the workforce growth in the United States. Robert Kaplan, president of the Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas, said in an interview, immigrants have been additives to the United States economy, and they've helped us to grow faster. Gross domestic product growth comes from 2 basic ingredients: population and productivity gains. To produce more goods and services, businesses need either more workers or better efficiency. Productivity improvement has been weak in the United States over the past decade, while some economists hope that while change as companies embrace nascent technologies in robotics and machine learning, others believe that most economy-altering innovations may be behind us. Think cars, washing machines, and refrigerators. Future gains could be constantly mediocre. If that's the case, the U.S. economic fate will hinge on population growth. Workforce expansion will almost certainly not come naturally. Fertility has dropped since the baby boom of the late 1940s to the mid-1960s and has plunged recently. The expected number of births per woman in the United States has dropped to just 1.73 based on data from the National Vital Statistics System. That is nowhere near the rate the population would need to replace itself, a little more than 2 births per woman. But the U.S. immigration population has been growing more slowly, a phenomenon exacerbated by Trump administration policies, including strict enforcement and travel restrictions on many countries and substantial Muslim populations. And then it goes on and on and on. Now, the whole thing about that right there, Smoke, is, again, black people not looking at the bigger picture of what's going on. Because if Mick Mulvaney is running around talking about in England how America desperately needs more immigrants to sustain its the workforce, right? Letting you know that the native-born people of the country is about to be extinct. That's what it sounds like to me.
Negative birth rate.
Yeah. That's what it sounds like to me. They're about to be extinct. So we walking around here trying to fucking work and find jobs and shit, when once again what we need to be doing is strengthening ourselves as a race. A large percentage of our population is in prisons. So it's not even like our birth rate is stopping and we can't produce children or no shit like that. No, we're being warehoused. And then the rest of the people that's still there, that's in the free world, they get to damn work, but guess what? They're beat down and battered until they die. So this system ain't this structure ain't working anymore. They got to replace the dying population with fresh new immigrants from other countries, and Black Americans want to work and fight for everybody to have rights and shit, while you slowly are being replaced. It's basically like this, Mo. You're working at a job, and you're training the new person and teaching them everything that you know about the job that you do.
Yeah,
this person is, and then they're gonna replace you. That was the old tactic they used to do back then.
Today's your last day.
Yeah, today's your last day. They're gonna have you come in Monday, training that person from Monday to Friday, and then when Friday finishes, they're like, "All right, we don't need you no more." And that's what they're doing to Black people.
Like, where Hector at? He like, Hector's he's in another room. We gotta talk to you in this room.
Yeah, we gotta talk to you. Yeah. Like, man, I hope they don't let. No, here go Black people. I hope they don't let Hector go. Hector got a family. He just got that. His job. Woman pregnant. I hope. You're not even worried about you. You worried about Hector. I hope everything's okay with Hector. Damn, he just started. I would hate for him to lose his job. No, it's you going to lose your job. 15 years on the job. 20 years on the job. That's your job you're about to lose. You're worrying about somebody else. And that's what's going on with Black people. Like I said, we're supposed to be in a position of power. We're supposed to be in a position. Because if you look at, even when it comes to Black people, when it comes to the voting and all kind of shit like that, if we can make these motherfuckers talk to us about, even entertain us, about police issues and schools and housing and jobs and blahs and all kind of shit like that, then it's like, think about if we could make them do that shit and we had economic power. We have real economic power. And these people, and the candidates is trying to cater towards us, cater to us. We will be stronger. We will be stronger than the gay population. We will be the strongest group in the country.
Facts.
If Black people had,
we're gonna determine what we gonna swing the votes basically.
Yeah,
we're gonna swing the votes.
We would swing the vote. If Black Americans had economic power, we will be the strongest political group, meaning we will be the strongest race of people in the world. That's how deep that shit is. But because we don't got an economy, we're just, you know what I'm saying? We're the driver.
Can't go to war, bro.
Yeah, you can't go to war. Tupac taught you that. You gotta get your money up, man. You gotta get your money up. We don't got our money up. And if you think about it, Americans had a fucking economy. We literally will be the strongest, most powerful, the most powerful racial group in America. We'll be the most powerful racial group in America. meaning we'll be the most powerful group in the world. But because we don't have an economy, all we do is we assist everybody. We're just a helper for everybody. The gays is like, oh my God, we don't have enough numbers. Hey, blacks, can you help us? Okay. So we go to the gays and we help them get all their rights. And then the Latinos like, hey, we don't know how to play this political game here in America because we're new here. Okay, we'll help you. We'll help you, Latinos. Just hold on for 1 second. Let's work with the gays a little bit more. Then we'll come into your side next. Then when the gays get their shit, then we run over to the Latinos. So the slogan is going to be black and brown, okay? Just make sure you say that, and then you'll get through. Who else needs help? Who else needs help? That's how we are. You know what I'm saying? We're the class helpers. But we don't even realize it. But we don't realize it. If we had economic power, but if we had an economy, we would be the most powerful group. And that's the scary part about the whole shit, because it's like we're complaining about shit that we have full control over. So the question becomes why? So I had read another article, Smoke, that I sent you earlier. It comes from a magazine. I believe the name of it is called Design. But the title is Why Black Businesses and Home Ownership Won't Close the Wealth Gap. I read some of this and I thought it was pretty interesting because it's a black person that wrote the article named Brenton Mock. So it goes, economic plans like Mike Bloomberg's assume that boosting black home ownership and entrepreneurs will close racial wealth gaps. New research suggests it won't, which is hilarious to me. That lets you know that racial wealth gap shit, they're not talking about what you think they're talking about. They're talking about something totally different. I'm gonna explain to you. I'm gonna explain to you why I say that. I'm gonna explain to you why I say that. Because sometimes you gotta just listen to how a lot of shit is written and how people are saying things to understand that, oh, you don't mean what I'm thinking that you mean. So they go, owning a home and a business has always been central to the American dream. But recent scholarships has called into question the idea that fulfilling this dream has actually improved African Americans' quality of life. For decades, encouraging African American home ownership and entrepreneurship has been a common proposal for those who want to narrow the racial wealth gap. In a recent prominent example, Michael Bloomberg unveiled a plan in his presidential campaign to bolster economic outcomes for African Americans that banks on these tools. The top line goals of the plan, known as the Greenwood Initiative, are creating 1 million new black homeowners, 100,000 new black businesses, and investing $70 billion in the 100 most disadvantaged neighborhoods of the United States. The New York Daily News called it an initiative similar to calls for reparation of slavery. And the Bloomberg campaign say it will close the racial wealth gap, while saying home ownership in particular is a vital way to build generational wealth and community and is a pillar of the American dream for many. It's a worthy effort considering that the home ownership gap between black and white Americans is larger today than it was 50 years ago, before the Fair Housing Act was passed. In fact, the wage gap between black and white workers is also significantly wider now than it was in 2000, despite black wages last year exceeding 2000 levels for the first time since the recession dissipated. Amongst 2020 Democratic candidates, Warren and Sanders' racial equality plans advocate for more sweeping wealth redistribution changes, such as the Green New Deal, free universal health care, reparations, and offering federal housing assistance to victims of redlining. The Greenwood Initiative offered federal matching funds for housing down payments in the country's most disadvantaged communities and offers to streamline housing down payments programs in general. It's a result-oriented tack that garnered Bloomberg quite a bit of black support, despite his most reckless record on other issues important to the black community, such as stop and frisk police policy practices. But it is not clear that it will achieve its intended goal. Several new studies cast doubt on the idea that simply owning homes or businesses can help dissolve racial economic inequalities. The first from a group of University of Georgia geography scholars concludes that a racial appreciation gap exists in the housing market that hinders African Americans' ability to generate wealth through owning a home. The research team analyzed home sales values throughout the city of Atlanta and its immediate suburbs, areas that have some of the highest rates of black home ownership and some of the most economically diverse populations of black homeowners in the United States, and found that houses in predominantly black neighborhoods have failed to appreciate in value since the mortgage crash recovery began. Meanwhile, houses in predominantly white neighborhoods have appreciated considerably. So before I continue, let me just stop right there. So, Smoke, get into the last part of what I just read. They said that the black houses don't appreciate as much as the white houses, right?
Right.
And they said that just because you have home ownership in businesses, that doesn't mean that can improve the racial wealth gap, right?
Yep, no, right.
And that's why I keep on saying we have to work on building an economy. This is why I say this. This is why every time when I'm speaking to black people, I always reiterate that. It's economy. It's not business. It's not businesses. It's economy. Because if you don't have an economy, then guess what? White people have control whether your house is worth something or not. You understand what I'm saying? Because if you have an economy, you have control over that. Because the people that live in these homes can afford it. They're making their payments. The banks they're making their payments to, these are black banks. The reason why we have black banks is because we have an economy that's holding the money from the businesses within this economy that's buying and producing and selling and trading shit. So now your houses in your neighborhood is worth something. You see what I'm saying? The wealth gap does drop. But then really you won't even be comparing yourself to white people. You'll just
basically
strengthening yourself.
You basically being sold a dream, you know what I'm saying, when you think that, you know, you're acquiring those things or even just having a business, you know what I'm saying? It's like, because most people, you know, like, you know how it is, and you know, you see somebody like, yeah, you know what I'm saying, I got my business, I got a, You know what I'm saying? I got a home. You know what I'm saying? And like that's like a symbol of success. You know what I'm saying? But it's basically like here, like you know, it's just pretty much identifying that that's just. You know, it's not the full spectrum, basically. You know what I mean? Those things, you know, you can have those things, but in order for them to, because the reality is, like, if you have a home, you don't pay it off. It's not yours. So, you know, let's say in theory, if, you know, let's say something happens to you before you don't have any insurance to pay it off or something like that, then, you know, that home's not going to stay in your family. So it's really not wealth for your kids or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? So if you don't have some type of setup for that to, you know, for the home to be paid off and things like that, it's just like basically you renting. You know what I mean, during your time. So yeah, you know, you could see that as being like not acquiring wealth that way. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, basically, I mean, and we've been saying this on our shows. I mean, it's pretty much like become the basis of the show. You know, black economy, black economics. You know what I'm saying? It's like the economy is the basis of everything. It's like when we keep going into these stories, and I don't know, you got a knack for finding like these articles. Like I don't know where you find them.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, it's like you know, it's like you have a knack for finding them, and it's like it's just really pointing out that. No matter what the issues you talk about, we talk about a lot of issues on here, the not having an economy pretty much is the basis of all these issues. When you talk about like the, racism aspect, when you talk about, not getting jobs, unemployment, you know what I mean? It's like we don't have any backup for, you know, the fact that we are fully dependent on white economics or other economics, Chinese, Indian, you know, whatever. It's not ours. If we, you know, more than likely, if we're working, we're not getting paid through our economic base. You know what I'm saying? And so, as those economies go, you know, they rise and fall. We gonna get the brunt of it, you know what I'm saying? We get the worst end of the stick. It's like every time. It's like we're in somebody's house, but we want all the same rights as the person who owned the house. You know what I'm saying? Like we want to come in there, we want to put our feet on the table instead of getting our own damn house. You know what I'm saying? And that's really what it is right now. We want to live, and somebody else is like, yo, I want to put my feet up too. Like, what you mean? It's racism. It's racism. You won't let me put my feet up. Like, come on.
Now, watch this. Now, you telling the person, yo, why don't you get you a job, yo? Get your own crib. Like, get my own crib. Yo, don't you know I be washing dishes in here? I be mopping the floors. I be cooking and cleaning and shit like that. This is just about my home too. What? Nah, man. Yo, you want that freedom that you talking about? You want to invite people over like you talking about? You got to get your own shit. Straight up, you got to get your own shit. No, we don't want to get our own shit. So we keep on looking what somebody else has. Now realizing that's where the power that we're seeking is coming from. It's coming from us doing what it is that we got to do, which is strengthen ourselves up as a race. Again, like I said, even with the stock market and shit like that, you got, and this is the perfect time too because what? This is tax time. You know what I'm saying? But that's the shit when it comes to what I was saying. Disney stock is 117. That shit was just 135. You gotta remember, Disney just opened up that app.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Killer.
So give that shit time. The only reason why this shit dropped is because they had to block everybody from coming to Disney World, which is gonna fuck up their, you know what I'm saying, their bread. But guess what? You got some money from your taxes, drop that shit in Disney World. Hold that shit to the end of the year. You see what I'm saying? Like, there's different ways you got to get to generate money to get your money up. Like Bianchi said, you go to Alibaba, machines that make and produce shit. The mask. Because trust me, I will be looking into that one. I will. Because mask ain't just something that you're going to be selling that shit when that shit is, it's an outbreak or some shit like that. Them Chinese use that mask on a regular basis. They use that shit on a regular basis. That's something that
hospitals,
jobs.
People be at work outside of the virus. I got a cold, I'm put a mask on. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
So, yeah, you're right.
And guess what? They look online, they type in face masks and shit, your shit pop up too. Getting brand your shit, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's how you do that shit. Remember Cameron? Cameron made money off the mask during the SARS.
Yeah, they all.
If you remember that,
yeah,
some shit like that. So that's what I'm saying. So it's like, I'm gonna look into that damn that mask joint. You know what I'm saying? And that's the whole shit. It's like, we're not supposed to be content with being workers. We're not supposed to be content with being entertainers. We're not supposed to be content with just being criminals. We got to start to look in a mind and change the mind frame. If it's not you as an adult, but pass that on to the youth and your children. We got to be creators and builders again. We got to be the architects of the world again. You see what I'm saying? We don't got that in us no more. We don't want to create. We don't want to build. We don't want to innovate. And if we do, we're going to do it for self. We don't want to do it to build and elevate the black race. So we stay on this level continuously, over and over again, complaining continuously, over and over again, hundreds of years, 200s of years, 300s of years. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of reading about it. How many times do we make the same mistake before we realize we have to change the mistake in order to go where we claim we want to be?
Right.
This is just warning. This is just warning. This is just stuff just to remind you of what you should be doing and what you should be thinking and things of this nature. That's all that's going on here. This is just a warning. This is just for the person with the A-like mind who is saying to themselves, "But what can I do?" Get you a machine that produces something. Go to the Alibaba and just randomly Google shit. I mean, not Google, but put it into the search engine. Face mask. Put it into the search engine. Sneaker maker. Put it into the search engine. Toenail clippers, like anything. You know what I'm saying? Just type it in and just to see what it say, what it have in there. You know what I'm saying? Google how to farm fish. Google how much do a 3D printer cost? What can I make with a 3D printer? Create a website and get electronic products or some shit, and like something that's not that isn't what everybody else is doing. We saturated the entertainment field. So let's look at everything else that everybody else is doing, and let's create the black version of that. Slippers. Because I'm going to tell you, and those who know. And if the brother Bianchi was on the phone, he would agree with me. That's how the Chinese came on board. That's how the Chinese came into power. The Chinese came into power by copying shit.
Yeah, wow about that.
They literally came into power by copying shit. They didn't come into power because they had some grand idea. They didn't come out with this global music called hip hop. Everybody wasn't jacking their style. They wasn't jacking their lingo and shit like that. Nobody didn't say, yo, I want to act like I'm a Chinese person. No, they came into the game copying people. They said, oh, you making daishikis, black people? Well, here's a Chinese version. We're making a print of a daishiki. Oh, you blacks in L.A. want to gangbang? Well, we're going to sell you your clothes to gangbang in.
Flags.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's all they did. They sat there. They said, oh, you niggas eat chicken? We're going to sell you chicken. What else do y'all do? Oh, you want weave? We sell you weave. What else? That's what they did. They seen what black people wanted. They seen what we needed. And they said, we're going to have the Chinese version of that. That's what they said, and that's what they did, and that's how they got into power. You don't get mad at it. Return the favor. Return the favor.
Yeah, pretty much what you've been outlining earlier. What was being outlined is if there was we should have a black version of all these companies, all these markets. We should have a black version of it. We should be in it. And so when you think about it, it's like while we were sitting there, you know, one consuming copy products, bootleg products from China, man, you know what I'm saying? We was also clowning it.
Mm-hmm.
While we was laughing, the cats was building an empire by providing a Chinese version of American products and shit.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And smiling in our face. Smiling in our face. So we'll sit in a minute and be like,
one of those stands and bought you a cap, an umbrella.
You know what I'm saying?
You know what I'm saying? Forget the bootleg like the fake Gucci shirt or something like that. Just a regular thing, you know what I'm saying? You bought a 2-pack of, you know, there's a little 2-pack of batteries they sell. This would be like $1 or $2.
Yeah.
You're like, damn, man, I got my Walkman is out. Killing off them little two battery packs. They wasn't even Duracells on them. It was like some other shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, while we was sitting there laughing, you know, they was coming through with their little carts and shit, and you know, having them shits. You know, we New York City kids, so it's like, you know what I mean? You in the subway, they everywhere.
Yeah.
Selling their shit, and we thinking like that's some subpar job or you know things like that. We laughing at it and shit like that. But I mean, you just pretty much
they were building an economy. Yeah, they building an economy. While we trying to fight to work. We trying to fight to work,
man.
And they're building an economy, and we're laughing at them while they build their economy. While all we're doing is working. That's how backwards the game is.
Mexicans,
the game
so-called Mexicans. They piled up in houses. They all sharing a car. Look at these Mexicans. Then you don't see them no more. They're in their country. Rich.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? It's like we clown it, but it's like when you have a game plan, you're going to win and shit.
You're gonna win. We in a position. Here's another example right now. Smoke. I'm gonna read another story. If we had an economy, we would be the strongest race in America. So this is from the Associated Press. The title: Trump meets with black supporters vow equal opportunity. President Donald Trump on Thursday cited low unemployment rates for African Americans and passage of a criminal justice bill providing early release for thousands of federal drug offenders as examples of how he's helping the black community. Hilarious, right? Because, again, like the brother Kianki said earlier, with the, you know what I'm saying? But he was talking about the Democrats, but it's really both sides, really. But, yeah, they look at us like we're just criminals and we're poor. You know what I'm saying? But the reason why they do that is because that's the only thing that we can ask for. Because we don't have an economy. You see what I'm saying? That's like right now your son. Yeah, that's like your son right now. You telling your son like, yo, no, you telling your son, you can ask me for some money, but you have to tell me what you need the money for. And if it makes sense, then I give you the money. And he's like, and he's his age right now. And anything he asks you is gonna be like for some stupid kid shit, games or clothes. You know what I'm saying? Because he lived with candy. Yeah, candy. He's not gonna say, well, shit, can I get my mortgage for the month? I don't got mortgage. Can I get? You know what I'm saying? So it's not. He can't. You know what I'm saying? But it's like,
I need money for my future mortgage.
Yeah, for my future mortgage, pops. Let me put that money up for the a down payment on a home when I turn. Yeah, you know. See, your son not gonna think like that because he's not living on his own. So because he's not living on his own, that's not a priority to him. For him to sit over there and be like, well, that's something I need to ask for. So because black people don't have an economy, we're not fighting for economic agendas. No, we're fighting for low unemployment rates, better housing, schools, criminal justice shit. Because that's the only thing that's on the table for us to fight for. You know what I'm saying? So again, with your son, what am I fighting to get? You asking me for money? Okay, shit. Let me get some sneakers. Maybe something I want to eat. Video game. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, it's like, what else can I ask for? I'm living with you. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Did anything important of adult status I can't ask you because one, I'm not an adult, and two, I don't live on my own. So that avenue and those questions and those that type of thought process and money, debt type shit, so I don't even know to ask for that. And that's how black people are. We don't even know how to ask for the shit because we don't understand that we're supposed to have our own economy. We don't even get it. So they go, Trump meets with African-American supporters Thursday as part of the White House Black History Month shit. I will not stop. I will not give up until we have delivered equal and abundant opportunities to every neighborhood across our land, Trump said at a reception. Before the reception, he met with black supporters who complained that Trump was not being given enough credit or that he had been portrayed unfairly as racist. You attack him, you attack us, said Bruce Lavelle of Georgia. Trump re-election campaign has stepped up its outreach to black Americans as it tried to claw away support from the traditionally Democratic voting bloc ahead of the November's general election. Approval of Trump among black Americans has been consistent at about 1 in 10 over the course of his presidency. A Pew Research Center analyst of people who participated in the poll and was confirmed to have voted showed Trump won just 6% of the black vote in 2016. But the campaign claims it is seeing an uptick of support among black men in particular, and notes that even a small shift in the electorate could decide close races. So it looks like, and I think this is already widely known, but it looks like black men is leaning more towards Trump, and we already know that black woman is leaning more towards whoever the Democratic Party winner is.
Right.
Yeah. And it's funny and shit. Yeah, it's funny because, again, when you're listening to Trump, and even with that, we're talking about, because even if you put this to the side, we're talking about opportunities, we're talking about actions and things that happen with the low unemployment. We're talking about the criminal justice reform shit. We're talking about shit where it's like, well, what do y'all need? What do y'all want? Okay, here, let's get this shit done. Then we got the Democrats who turn around saying, well, here's my plan if you vote for me. And then you'd be like, all right, but Bloomberg, what about stop and frisk? You know what? That was fucked up, and I'm sorry. And I plan on, and it's just like, all right, Buttigieg, what's your issue? What about when you was a mayor and, you know, the harassment of black people going on in your town? Oh, you know what? I didn't realize that. I apologize. Okay, Klobuchar, you got a brother who didn't even commit the crime, so they saying, incarcerated. You pursued hard for him. What about him? You know, and I apologize and I'm sorry. Bernie Sanders, you signed the criminal crime bill, act like you didn't know what the hell reparation was, and you are you govern over Vermont, and Vermont is a fucking majority white country state.
Right.
So it's like, you ain't never governed over people. Biden, you created the goddamn crime bill that incarcerated the black men and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if we're talking, then you got Tom Sawyer or whatever his name is. He
Lord.
yeah. Look, Biden then done bust his bubble talking about how he invested in a private prison that was hog-tying black men. I was like, hog-tie?
Yeah, I was talking to one of his supporters last week at the Wilder fight. He was watching that joint. Son came in there talking about he worked for him, and I'm like, all right, man. He was going into all his plans of like, he was like, basically I found out me and him went to the same school, you know what I'm saying? And so he was just talking about how Tom Steyer, you know what I mean, he's like, you know, he have like this $1 billion plan, you know, for black schools and, you know, all this and that. It's like this, it's a plan, but it's like more so, it's basically, it goes back to that article. The home ownership, all that shit, it's not changing anything, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, when you really know that, and then you start listening to like the plans and shit that these cats, they really just started revealing plans, you know what I'm saying? Before it was just beat Donald Trump, you know what I'm saying? So now it's like they're coming in with shit. And when you really start looking at it, it's just like, ain't really no substance. But again, if we don't have an economic base, it don't matter. So that's basically,
it don't matter.
Basically what
and
you
that's
should
what
be
we
pulling
don't get.
from.
See, that's the shit that we don't get. So when this shit constantly happens, and oh shit, what the fuck? Yeah, I just ran across this weird fucking. Oh no! Now look, speaking of billionaire Steyer, he shakes up the primary with slavery reparation plan. So I just read this.
He really banging.
Yeah,
that
just
black
talk
angle,
about
yo. Because son was really hyped about Tom Steyer. Like, yo, you got to vote for Tom Steyer. I'm telling you, blah, blah, blah. You know, he for the black people and shit like that. I'm like, all right, it sounds good, man.
This dude look like goddamn Purdue. Not Purdue. Yeah, Purdue. That's the chicken man Purdue, right? That's what he looks like. The Purdue guy.
Purdue chicken.
So it goes. The title for that shit is Billionaire Steyer Shakes Up Primary with Slavery Reparation Plan. So he goes, for For centuries, South Carolina, Charleston was the largest port of entry for the transatlantic slave trade. Now a billionaire activist named Tom Steyer is shaking up the state's Democratic primary by advocating slavery reparation for African Americans. A California financier turned philanthropist and environmental campaigner, Steyer has poured tens of millions of dollars into the state ahead of Saturday's vote, with a single-minded focus on the black voters who make up 60% of his Democratic electorate. How South Carolina African-American vote in the White House primaries is traditionally a key indicator of which contender has national support from the black community. Flooding the airways with promises and compensate the descendants of slaves and to invest in universities and historically marginalized black communities. Steyer, who lags far behind his – and I always say that, and I said that before, when it was like 100 candidates still on there. When you start hearing these damn candidates start saying the most outlandish shit that they want to give you, that's how you know that their campaign –
coming to it.
That's how you know that they
like,
can't.
Hold on, I got one for them.
Yo, I think that every black person who's a descendant of slaves to have $70 million vote for Tom Steyer. I approve this. Like, fuck, come on, man. Julio Castro did the same shit. He was like, oh, and why should Iowa even be the first primary state? It ain't diverse enough. And probably like a couple of weeks later, he ended up dropping out. I said, yeah, once they start talking on tough like that, promising you everything, you know what I'm saying? They like, you start seeing Tom Sawyer, he like, and you ain't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock, land on us. What? I'm Tom Sawyer, and I approve this message.
And it's funny because this is like before. This is obviously last week or whatever. So it's like, and that's how it was with Son. It's like, it's like almost like he heard him. He just gave him the great grand promises and shit. And it was like, I wasn't even really looking at it like that, you know what I'm saying? I mean, kind of, sort of, but it's like, again, it's like, yo, you hear these promises, you pull them in. But again, it's all is nothing. And them cats know that. These politicians know that shit. They know they can just throw the empty promises. Because at the end of the day, it's just going to be shit talking. That's it. They can deal with that. All it is shit talking.
Because I can only take that shit serious if you tell me that you was already working on this shit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If you sitting over here and you like, yo, vote for me, I got the Douglas plan, yo, I already implemented this shit in 5 fucking years ago. You know what I'm saying? Inside my little town of South Bend. And it's already helping black people, but if you elect me as president, I can have this shit expand throughout the whole United States and every black person could benefit. Then I could be like, you know what? Let me hear what he got to say. You understand what I'm saying? But if you're going to tell me, look, I've been fucking black people over for 3 terms, Mike Bloomberg. But now I get it. It was wrong. I shouldn't have did it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to invest this much money here, this much money to the black community, and this much money to the black community. It's like, okay. So this is just empty promises. Majority of this bread going to go to preachers and city leaders and all kind of shit like that. The people ain't going to see shit. They ain't going to benefit off it. Yeah. How Saul's gonna get another suit? You know what I'm saying? He's gonna renew his his gym license, and that's it. You know what I'm saying? And then we're gonna wait another 4 years because we don't vote locally. So we're gonna wait another 4 years. You know what I'm saying? And we're gonna bitch and complain. Then we're gonna wait. No, then we gotta listen to all the black pundits on TV talk about how low the black vote turnout was without never giving you a number. They'll never give you a number. They'll never give you a fucking number. They'll never say, well, this is what the white voter turnout was. This is what the black voter turnout was. This is what the brown voter turnout was. This is what the gay voter turnout was. This is what the woman voter turnout was. How many voted, you know what I'm saying? No, they'll turn around and they'll tell you in a heartbeat, when this Democratic candidate don't win, they're going to say, because blacks ain't come out to vote. And then here we go, yeah, blacks don't vote. And then we just parakeet that shit. And I'm like, what are y'all talking about? So you telling me we was voting all up until, so every time the Democrats win, the number one thing that they say is, we came out in droves. And then when they lose, they say, we ain't come out at all. And I'm like, somebody ain't telling the truth.
That's what
somebody making excuses.
This is all narrative,
man.
It's like, pull out the
all
cue cards. You pull out the cue cards. They already know what's going on. It's like, it's a game, man. And they playing with us.
They know it. And we fall for it every time. We fall for it every fucking time, yo. Every time. Because we never stand back and analyze shit. We don't sit back and analyze. We don't sit back and say, okay, 8 years of a black president, Barack Obama, how have it benefited us? Where have we benefited and where have we been hurt? What is the state of the black race? Because they keep saying the same shit over and over again from 2000 to 2020 now. Because we already spoke about this during Barack Obama's administration. But I can't remember what year. But they already said that economically, black people in America, black Americans are the only group that financially did not elevate since 2000. Meaning for 20 fucking years, economically, black people has been stagnant in this country. Latinos has increased. Asians has increased. Whites has increased. Yeah, but black people have not increased economically in this country. So you think shit's a game. And you want to sit around, run around playing this equality bullshit. You can't be equal without an economy in a capitalistic society. You can't be equal when you depend on the people and people that don't even depend on you. There's no equality in that. There's no equality in you going to the corner store and spending your money with Poppy and Poppy not spending no money with you.
Right.
That's not equality. You know what I'm saying? There's no equality there. There would never be equality there. There would never be equality between the supplier and the buyer. There would never be equality. There would never be equality from the person selling the product and the person that needs the product. There would never be equality there. There would never be equality there. So we fighting for equality for what? Then we fighting for equality for who? To be equal to who? The people that oppress your people? So if you want to be equal to the people that oppress your people, that means you want to be the people that oppress you. So how that's going to work? All this shit is bullshit narrative that don't make sense.
It's sad.
It's sad, yo. It's crazy because we could read books where we discussed this already. We read that shit, and that's the shit that I don't get. We sit around and shit like that, and it's like we act like this is some new shit. Booker T. Washington Ben spoke about this shit. Ben spoke about this shit. That's why I don't get that shit, yo. That's why I don't get that shit. I sit over here. I sit over here and I just wonder to myself. I just be like, yo. So, is the game plan just to stand around and just wither away? Because that's what
Pretty
it sounds
much.
like to me. Yeah, that's what it sounds like to me. I'm like, come on. If we're going to fight and we're going to do what we got to do and shit like that, the only way for us to do that shit is to think economically. And to think economically means you have to build an economy. This is capitalism. This ain't socialism. This ain't communism. It's capitalism. The only way to win in a capitalistic society is with money. The only way to get your money up is with an economy. The economy cannot be a bunch of businesses that's based upon consumerism and buying and selling. It has to be a business where you're producing something and you're trading. You know what I'm saying? It got to be real shit. And we got to have black versions of everything that's out. If people making globes, there need to be a black person that make globes. A black person that make table fucking curtains and shit like that. Like, everything got to be a black version for us to survive in society and make it into the next 100 years. So, we're going to leave it like that, Smoke. Because it's 11 o'clock on the dot. So I'm going to say peace to the people, peace to the world. You got anything you got to say?
Yo, another good show, man. Shout out to PRP.